February 23rd, 6 p.m. I'd like to call the regular school board meeting to order. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Disjointed. Wow. Okay, are you doing roll call, Terry?
Yep.
Do you want to? Okay.
Roll call.
Yeah, roll call.
Okay. Haefman.
Here.
Huseby.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Kissinger Wolf.
Here.
Long. Here. Rudai.
Here.
Schmidt.
Here.
Rouleau.
Here.
Zimmerman.
Here.
We have a quorum, all 9 are present. And thank you everyone for being here tonight. I'm looking for a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
I so move.
Motion's been made.
I'll second it, Hageman.
Okay. Motion's been made by Baloo, seconded by Hafman. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, moving on, we'll go to open item 6 for public comment.
I have public comment.
Okay,
Allison Shantz, TEA president. I wanted to bring back some union member spotlights from our most recent meeting. First, an update on a previous member spotlight. Can't talk today. Member spotlight. John Marin last year, we spotlighted him for working with the local artists to get some stained glass to hang in front of the windows in the band room. So those are pretty much ready to go. She just has to come in and measure them and make sure everything's gonna fit and look nice. And I told John to send me some pictures, but I haven't gotten them yet. So when we do get some pictures, we'll send them your way as well. And then some new member spotlights. We'd like to, the elementary highlighted Lori Tracy and Brian Schmidt for all of their work Zooming with kids who are in quarantine to get them on track with math and the ELA. It's really been a lifesaver for our elementary teachers, just working with those kids in quarantine and also having their kids in class too. So Lori Tracy and Brian Schmidt in the elementary. And then high school, we wanted to highlight Paula Norman and all of her work with our esports kids. She really got a group of guys involved who they're not really involved in school otherwise. You know, I mean, they're here, they go to school, they do their classes, but they don't stick around after school. So, and I know I have one of the students that's in esports, and he's talked about how, like, these are kids that he never hung out with them before. He's really found a great group of friends that were people he didn't expect to have met. So I know they had their first skirmish this week, and they're looking forward to more competition coming up. And another reason to highlight Paula for this is that she has done a lot of work getting grants. So far it has not cost the district any money. It's all been through grants and fundraising by the guys. So those are my positive messages from the union.
Thank you, Allison. There was a nice article in the paper on Paula I saw the other week. And the stained glass windows are beautiful. I've seen those down at the shop. Is there anyone else out there for public comment?
Allison's the only one.
Okay. She's the only answer.
I mean, she's the only guest.
Okay. Okay. Moving on to item 7, looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Some minutes from the February 9th meeting, the regular meeting, the closed session, the employee contracts, retirement, replacement, above pay, start college, and early credit, college credit.
John, can I make the motion?
Ruda, I second it.
Johnson's made the motion and Rudai seconded. All those in favor?
Terry, one quick question before we
Aye.
Oh,
One question.
okay, sorry.
Just making sure and clear in here, you have Garth down as retiring as a teacher, which I think you expected, and you'll see stepping out as AD as well.
It's everything, everything.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'd just like to, when I was calculating that out, you know, there's some pretty long seniority in there, with like almost 125 years of service between the four people retiring. So
Yep.
kudos to them and all their work that they put in for those. Each of them have like 30, close to 30 years, I think is what they calculated.
Yeah, 25 to 30 years.
25 to 30 years. Wow. I do have one thing from the minutes. Did we have follow-up with school perceptions? Is everybody done with their school perception survey? Have you had a chance to look at that?
I didn't look.
Okay, we can check that out later. But just a reminder, if you haven't done the school perception survey, to finish that up, the goal was to have it done by the end of February. Last meeting, there were 4 that were done. So just a reminder out there. Moving on to item 8, the approval of the academic and technical excellence scholarships, the recommendations and alternatives. That was presented.
Yeah, and again, we keep these confidential until graduation time, and so it's just mainly you're approving the recommendation of administration and the alternates.
Everyone should have had that attached to their agenda. Okay. Any questions about the topic? Okay, then I'll look for a motion to approve the administrator's recommendation for academic and technical excellence scholarships and the scholarship alternatives for 2020-21 as presented.
This is Jonathan. I'll make a motion to approve the administration's recommendation.
Okay.
Schmidt, I second.
Motion's been made by Johnson, seconded by Schmidt. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, thank you, everyone. Moving on to item 9, the elementary AGR report.
Okay,
Hi, everybody.
Oops, yeah, Mr. Stickbar is here.
Yep.
So with the AGR report, it's a report that I do twice a year to the board. AGR is most closely associated with class size reduction. So you should have had this as part of your board packet. It shows the goals that each grade level developed, and the AGR report is done for kindergarten through 3rd grade. So they base their assessments sometimes on summative assessments, sometimes on formative assessments. They develop goals based on the baseline that they established in the fall. You'll notice with the strategies, most of it is class size reduction, but occasionally I noticed in instructional coaching. Sometimes with an instructional coaching component, they do get some of that with the interventionist, but sometimes as our numbers get close to the 18-1, which is what AGR recommends, we need to have that other strategy included. This year our numbers are right within the AGR recommended numbers, so predominant strategy is class size reduction. So the last item on this report shows some of they asked for how we responded and what the impact of the crisis, the pandemic was on our elementary. So I listed some dates where we were kind of going in and out of in-person to remote, back to in-person. I also put in there the information where we decided to go to 1 o'clock release on Fridays to remote learning on Fridays, and now we're coming back out of that. And just the fact that some classes were quarantined, all of that played into factors that would impact the elementary school. but for the most part, I thought that we were solid with developing some goals based around our assessments, and our teachers and students are reacting well. I guess we'll see as we get to the end of the year and look to see if we met our goals or not. So, not sure if you have any questions. Okay,
Is there a year-to-year comparison of how it compares to prior years with the COVID and all that?
I can get that for you. I don't have that right now. Last year was a very difficult year with the pandemic, and we weren't able to complete our end of year assessments.
Okay.
But I can look back a couple of years and like that information and try to put that together for you.
I was just wondering if you know of any changes in that. I do have a question about school readiness, and I don't expect an answer tonight. I was trying to get something together. About 10 years ago, I worked on some papers for my master's on school readiness, and I'm just wondering how many kids are screened before they come into school, and how much of that is picked up, and just something to look at for a future meeting maybe, because I'm sure you don't have any answers right now. I know 10 years ago there used to be a child find where all the kids would come in and there was a whole program set up that they screened. I'm just wondering if there's any difference that affects how kids are getting ready for school and all that.
I can put together something. Like I said, I don't really have that ready for you tonight, but I'll look into it more.
I totally understand, Guy. I didn't expect you to have that stuff tonight. I needed to update my materials that I had looked at because they were a decade old, but I just found it quite interesting back then when I was working on that project.
Last year we did a 4K registration and felt good about bringing families in and getting to know some of the families and being able to look at some of where the students were at just by observation at schools. With the pandemic, we weren't able to do that this year, but without the child find, that was something we did last year, and it seemed to really be helpful with the families getting to know us a little earlier and us getting to know some of the skills that were going to be coming in. So we hope to get back to that next year, but I can look into the school readiness question and reading readings.
Yeah, and I'll come up with some more formal questions for you, Guy.
Okay.
I just lost my mind, my train of thought.
It's okay.
Yeah, like asleep. Anybody else have any questions or comments out there for Guy?
Guy, I just have one question. I'm looking at the math for grade level 3, and it says baseline data was recorded in September of 2020. And out of 69 students, 23 scored below average, 61% scored on average, and so forth. But one of the concerns I've always had around the math part of it is I've always felt math is a little bit different than some of the other courses. If you're taking history from 1700 to 1750, if you're taking the first grade, second grade, whatever, it's still the same history. You may look at it differently, but it's still the same history. And where math is a building process, and if you don't get the basis, you can't build on that basis. I just wondered, what do we try to do to help that 23%, or what have we done to try to help that 23%?
Well, we have the math interventionists, which have been key especially in those lower elementaries. We tried to build back into some skills. The pandemic really hurt us last spring. We feel like there were some students that left us that really didn't. As much as we tried to make connections, it wasn't a perfect system, but we felt like some families kind of disconnected from us. So we were concerned coming back this fall what our skills would be, math being an important one. So we tried to build back some skills. I know Teresa's worked with interventionists to try to kind of focus in on those areas, especially in the lower elementary. So we're trying to make up for some of the skill development that didn't happen last spring.
Is it working? Is it being successful? What do you feel?
We think so. We have some assessments that are, we'll be coming up with our state assessments. The teachers seem to think that that was a good idea to focus in those areas. We're hoping that what we've done is going to improve some of those skills that were lost. We may see the impact of the pandemic for a while, but we're not going to try to make excuses or just try to build back in some of the deficit areas that we're seeing. So we're hopeful that when we do our state testing and look at our end of the year results, that all those strategies are going to work for us.
Okay.
We're also going to be, some of our summer school is going to center on some of the,
Okay.
trying to catch some of those kids up as well,
Oh, good,
provide more opportunities this summer.
good, good. Yeah, I'm sure we're not alone in kids falling behind with what's
Yeah.
been going on.
We're starting to, like Mr. Reynolds said, we're starting to work on summer school, and putting out some information. I got some pretty good feedback as far as teachers being interested. I think they see some of those gaps, so I think we're going to have good staffing for it the way it looks right now, to be able to build that back some remedial, or some of those skills that were lost with some remedial summer school this year.
Do we meet with those students to encourage them to go to summer school, or how does that work?
I'm gonna provide that information to the teachers. So when they do their parent-teacher conferences, in the next couple of weeks, they're going to be, really pushing and recommending and encouraging that some of those students that they recommend, will be part of summer school this year.
We're planning on trying to provide busing as well, just because we want to really encourage those students not to have a reason not to come.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Are you still thinking of summer school like in August before school, or
Yeah, we're having those discussions.
are you, okay, nothing definite yet? Any other questions for Guy? Thank you, Guy, for the information.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thanks, Guy.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to the approval of the second reading of the following policies. Policies 34, 32, 44, 32, the employee sick leave. And the policies 32, 31, 42, 31, outside activities of professional / support staff. They were all new last time. We did the first reading and looking for approval of the second reading. Looking for a motion.
Rude, I so move to accept.
I'll second, Baloo.
Rudi's made a motion, and Valuth seconded the motion to approve the second reading of the policies as presented. Okay. That was swinging through this. Item,
And therefore,
We got to vote on it.
we got to vote on it. Thank you, sorry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now moving on to the second public comment. There's nobody else added? Heather? Okay. This is the time for public comment out there? Okay. I see no public comment coming up. Item 12. To move into closed session pursuant to